Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Stellar Cores or Sources of Matter or White Holes. Now, in Article 521 entitled Planet X and the Flood, the Earth expanded due to matter creation by its core. I show that the Earth's core created matter when it was approached by a Planet X system stellar core at the time of the flood. The Earth created so much matter at that time that it expanded to twice its radius. The matter could not have come from the debris that came in at the time because the oceans on Earth are only 0.02% of the Earth's total mass, a tiny percentage. So it is impossible that enough mass came in as debris to cause such an expansion. Since these objects are known to cause CMEs on the Sun and earthquakes and volcanic eruptions on the Earth, which seem to occur due to the same mechanism, and you may look at Article 505 entitled Planet X Creating Earthquakes by Inducing Positive Plasma Current Flows. And since the objects which caused the flood must have caused such eruptive activity that the Earth became littered with volcanoes, and you may look at Article 520 entitled Planet X and the Flood, where did the waters of the flood come from? It can only be concluded these eruptive events must actually be the result of matter creation events by the cores of the Earth and the Sun. And here you see one of these Planet X system stellar cores very close to the Sun. It provoked the Sun into having a CME. And you can see the result of that here. And this would have been a matter creation event by the Sun's core. It must have captured some of the magma, the stellar core, which then caused it to be repelled away from the Sun with the rest of the coronal plasma erupting from the Sun. So this occurred on the Sun. It's a CME event, and something similar happens on the Earth. And these are volcanic eruptions. Now, this means that the living cores of planets and stars are capable of matter creation. In other words, they are white holes. White holes are the opposite of black holes. Black holes gobble up matter. White holes spout out matter. They create matter. But the stellar cores, since they are dead or severely depleted in energy so that their gravitational influence is extremely low, are not. However, the photon energy depletion of its particles would not affect its electric field. Stellar cores are positively charged, and loss of light energy within its matter would not cause the electric field to be affected, as the electric interaction does not depend on gravitational energy. And therefore it always has constant interaction strength. This means that if a stellar core approaches the Sun or the Earth, and if it is a core of comparable size or larger than the Sun, for instance, it will have an electric field that is just as strong or stronger than the Sun. Two positive electric fields repel each other, but when forced together, they may intensify and cause such instability that it triggers an explosive matter creation event. In this way, the dead stellar core forces a living core to do for it what it can no longer do, create matter. The dead stellar core can then absorb the created matter, thus gaining a new outer layer of material, whilst leaving its old destroyed material, which is now a debris field, behind. With the living celestial object, it just forced into performing a matter creation event. And here you see a volcanic eruption, and a volcanic eruption occurs as a result of a Planet X system stellar core with an electric field of a size comparable to Earth's core or larger approaching the Earth. The volcanic eruption, just like a CME on the Sun, is the result of a matter creation event in the Earth's core. A stellar core which would be able to generate an electric field comparable to Earth's core's electric field would have the same size as the Earth's core, which has a radius of 1,220 kilometers or 760 miles, and is about 1/5 of the Earth's radius. The stellar core that caused the Great Flood, since it must have caused a worldwide eruption, at the same time must have been much larger than the Earth's core, and possibly 7 times larger than the Earth, since a stellar core about 7 times larger than the Sun has been observed causing a huge eruption on the Sun. However, very large objects may not be able to draw material from the Earth because they are not of comparable gravitational energy and would go to the Sun instead. And you may look at Article 518 entitled Planet X and Gravitational Tuning for more details. And the Earth was also only about half the size it is now. So perhaps a stellar core between the same size and 3 times larger than the Earth's current size may have caused the Great Flood. And here you see that very large stellar core that was about 7 times larger than the Sun, and it caused this huge explosive eruption, CME, from the Sun. And you can see this large amount of coronal plasma. Well, it's probably chromospheric plasma because the eruption must happen at the Sun's core where the chromosphere layer would start. And it would cause this huge eruption that is now going towards the object. Some of that plasma is actually in front of the object. That's how we know it's so close to the Sun. So this object was 7 times the size of the Sun, and it caused a huge explosion. So for the Earth, for this object to have created such a cataclysmic event on the Earth, it would have had to be much larger than the Earth as well, but not so large that it wouldn't find any material on Earth of comparable energy. So the Earth's core is 1/5 or 20% the size of the Earth, but we know that the Earth has undergone a great deal of expansion and that it must have expanded to about twice its original size, which means that its core was initially about 40% of its size. And this suggests that the normal size of a celestial object's core is likely to be 40% of the total size of the object. This then means that the stellar core, which is now 7 times larger than the Sun, would have been 17.5 times larger than the Sun as a living star. And here you see an illustration of what happens when a stellar core very closely approaches the Earth, and it is large enough of a size comparable to the size of the Earth's core that its electric field, when it interacts with the Earth's core's electric field, causes an instability, causes a matter creation event, and thus causes magma to erupt all the way from the core upwards, and then it finds an outlet. It may find a volcano, and then you get a huge eruption. The object may then gather some of this plasma coming in from the center of the Earth. If it has the right gravitational energy, it must be comparable to the plasma's gravitational energy. And you can look at Planet X and gravitational tuning for details on that. So, as I have shown in Article 514, stellar cores are gravitational poles or superprotons. Stellar cores are sources of gravitational field and cause CME events, which turn out to be matter creation events, which means they are both sources of gravitational field as well as sources of matter, because they can create matter whenever the electric field most likely reaches a critical level of intensity. This is similar to what Halton Arp describes was occurring with active galactic nuclei in his book Seeing Red. And Halton Arp was a very famous astronomer who wrote this excellent book called Seeing Red. Now, it was the super bright galaxies which were ejecting material that was then condensing into quasars. The brightness most likely indicated an extremely high electric field which caused an instability in galactic nuclei core and resulted in a matter creation event. And you may look at Article 126 entitled White Holes Instead of Black Holes at the Center of Galaxies. This means that all celestial objects in the universe, from planets to galactic nuclei, are capable of matter creation. And this illustrates what happens with active galactic nuclei that are super intensely bright galactic nuclei at the center of certain galaxies, which are called active galaxies. And this would mean that the galactic nuclei has an intense electric field. When the electric field and brightness reaches a critical level, it causes instability and the ejection of matter, which condenses into a quasar. So the matter, as it is ejected, it looks like fluid. Sounds just like magma. It then condenses into a quasar, which in the course of time unfurls arms, and the arms are due to ejected matter as well. So the matter ejected from the center of galaxy spreads out in a spiral because of so it ejects matter from along the plane of rotation of the galaxy, and that leads to the creation of these spiral arms. And the spiral arms are due to the rotational motion of the quasar. They are also in a form that shows that what we have here as well is a gravitational vortex, and all the stars and all the dust are like fluid being affected by the galactic nucleus. It's a flattened gravitational vortex. So in conclusion, stellar cores are sources of gravitational field and matter, and thus white holes, as they are capable of matter creation events. However, Planet X system stellar cores are the dead cores and depleted in photon gravitational energy, and therefore generate or a very weak gravitational field and are not able to create mass. They seem able to draw the matter that they cannot create from other stellar cores that are not energy depleted, i.e. not dead, when they closely approach them through the electric field strength, since it is not associated to gravitational energy. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.